Hey there, and welcome to our restricted world. If you want to keep exploring the most fascinating mysteries and hidden secrets from around the globe, make sure you follow our channel. Support us by subscribing, liking and commenting so you never miss a single adventure with us. Did you know that archaeology doesn't just uncover amazing secrets from our past, but also brings to light discoveries that still spark heated debates today? Some finds seem to rewrite human history, while others inspire theories that go way beyond traditional science. Today, in our restricted world, we're diving into some of the most mysterious and controversial archaeological discoveries ever made. And trust me, you won't be surprised by the first one. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because you'll always find the most fascinating and mind-blowing mysteries of our planet right here.
Number 15. The Baby Buddha Statue. In 2018, filmmakers Leon Deschamps and Shane Thompson were working on a documentary about French exploration in Australia. While using metal detectors in Shark Bay, a remote UNESCO World Heritage Site in Western Australia, they stumbled upon a rare Ming Dynasty Buddha statue. As soon as it was found, controversy exploded. Many thought it was an elaborate hoax, while others wondered how a Ming statue could possibly end up in Australia. But this wasn't just any Buddha. It was a small statue of a child Buddha. Experts took some time to verify its authenticity, but eventually confirmed that it was indeed real. Yet that only raised another question. How did it get there? According to experts, the 15-centimeter bronze statue, weighing about 1 kilogram, was crafted in China hundreds of years ago. Some even believe it could rewrite history, based on the theory that Ming explorers might have reached Australia centuries before Europeans. The statue is thought to date back to the Ming period between 1368 and 1644 AD, and may have been buried for nearly 150 years before being discovered by the filmmakers. Still, not everyone is convinced. It's true that hundreds of Chinese ships sailed across Southeast Asian waters on at least 7 major expeditions in search of Africa's coast. But so far, there's no solid evidence they reached Australia long before 17th century European explorers. Some experts say that just because the statue is 500 years old, doesn't mean it's been in Australia for 500 years. Others think it's unlikely that China's great treasure fleets ever visited Western Australia's Gascoyne region. One skeptic even suggested it might have been left behind by Chinese fishermen or pearl divers in the 1870s, as part of a prank. It seems that only a proper excavation of the site could finally reveal the statue's true origin.
Number 14. The Pharaoh's Medal. This next discovery involves Pharaoh Akhenaten. Of all the pharaohs who ever ruled Egypt, Akhenaten is probably one of the most famous, and definitely one of the most controversial. For those who don't know, he was the father of Tutankhamun and the husband of Queen Nefertiti. But before we talk about his mysterious medal, let's understand why he caused so much debate. It all comes down to his appearance. Akhenaten had a strange, almost feminine body, wide hips like a woman's, yet he stood and moved like a man. On top of that, he had an elongated skull, a sharp chin, and a long nose. Looking at his statues and carvings today, he honestly looks like something from another planet, doesn't he? But that's not even the weirdest part. The real controversy comes from a medal supposedly belonging to him. The medal shows what looks like a flying ship, or even a UFO. Above it, there's also the head of what resembles a gray alien. Naturally, this caused an uproar. Some people believe the ancient metal is proof that extraterrestrials once ruled over ancient Egypt. But were the Egyptians really aware of such beings? We'll probably never know, because the metal itself only exists in photos.
Besides wondering how the first humans appeared, have you ever thought about how animals evolved? Life has existed on Earth for most of its 4.5 billion year history, but for a very long time it was nothing more than bacteria. Most of what we know about evolution from hundreds of millions of years ago comes from fossils. The most common fossils are shells, bones and exoskeletons, basically the hard parts of creatures that once lived. These hard parts first appeared more than 500 million years ago.
However, the sudden appearance of animals with hard parts suggests that even earlier, soft-bodied creatures, without shells or skeletons, had already evolved from simpler life forms into more complex ones. Simple.
Unfortunately, it's really hard to understand the timing and nature of these evolutionary events because of the lack of fossils. Still, most scientists agree that sponges are the simplest animals in the evolutionary tree, and probably the very first to appear.
Oh, you thought sponges weren't animals? Well, they actually are. They use oxygen and feed by filtering water through their bodies to extract organic material. Based on this, scientists believe sponges may have existed about 900 million years ago.
The problem is we haven't found fossils from rocks that old, mainly because sponges don't have hard parts like shells or bones. So when one scientist claimed to have found evidence of ancient sponges in old rocks, people were skeptical. But if that discovery is ever fully proven, it would mean animals existed long before we officially thought they did.
In 1996, a local tour guide named José Luis Delgado Mamani discovered a strange stone structure near Lake Titicaca, which is actually the largest freshwater lake in South America. It was an unusual kind of portal known as Aramu Muru, or the Gate of the Gods. Ever since its discovery, its origin and purpose have been surrounded by controversy. For over 4,000 years, the area around the mountains and Lake Titicaca was home to many ancient indigenous civilizations, including the Inca Empire, ruled by Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui and his successors. The Incas believed Lake Titicaca was both the birthplace of the world and the final destination of souls after death. It's also thought that the Aramu Muru site was a sacred place of pilgrimage and worship, with legends claiming that the gate possessed supernatural powers. The structure stands about 7 meters tall and 7 meters wide, with a smaller door carved right in the center. Not much is known about its true origins, but many believe it predates the Inca civilization. Local legends describe the gate as a portal to other worlds, a path the gods use to travel between realms. Some visitors even claim they feel a strange sense of peace and calm when they touch the central doorway. Although the site likely existed long before the Inca, the name Aramu Muru actually comes from an Incan legend. The story says that during the Spanish conquest, a priest named Aramu Muru fled with a sacred golden disc known as the Key of the Gods of the Seven Rays, which had been kept in the temple of Coricancha in Cusco. He walked about 450 meters to the stone gate, placed the golden disc into a small circular indentation in the doorway, and, according to the legend, the portal opened, allowing him to pass through and vanish forever. Soon after, the Spanish conquered the Inca Empire, stripped them of their natural resources, and brought devastating diseases like smallpox, which led to the empire's collapse around 1592.
Even if you're not Christian, you've probably heard about the death and resurrection of Jesus. The earliest accounts of his burial come from the four canonical Gospels, the first books of the New Testament, written a few decades after his crucifixion, around 30 AD.
Despite slight variations, all four Gospels describe Jesus being buried in a rock-cut tomb owned by Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy Jewish follower of Jesus. Archaeologists have found several similar tombs in and around Jerusalem, each carved into the rock with chambers meant for multiple burials. Among these sites is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which many believe marks the original tomb of Jesus. The church was built right over the site to preserve it. However, the Bible also says Jesus was buried outside Jerusalem, near Golgotha, the place of the crucifixion. According to Jewish law, burials weren't allowed within city walls. Later, Jerusalem's walls were expanded, which brought both Golgotha and the tomb inside the city limits. These contradictions make it difficult to agree on the exact location of Jesus' burial. Still, archaeologists in Jerusalem maintain that there's no solid reason to doubt the authenticity of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre as the true site.
In 1900, a group of Greek sponge divers from the island of Symi in the eastern Mediterranean were out searching for natural sponges when they got caught in a violent storm. They took shelter near Antikythera Island, located between Crete and the Greek mainland.
Once the storm passed, they dove again, and this time they discovered a shipwreck full of ancient Greek treasures. It turned out to be one of the most important underwater finds from the ancient world. Among the many artifacts, one strange object caught the experts' attention, a large corroded lump about the size of a thick dictionary. It was later named the Antikythera Mechanism. At first, no one paid much attention to it. There were far flashier discoveries from the same wreck. But a few months later, the object broke apart, revealing tiny bronze gears, each as small as coins. At the time the ship had sunk, technology like that wasn't supposed to exist, not in Greece or anywhere else in the world. The discovery caused an uproar and completely changed what we knew about ancient Greek engineering. Until then, people thought Greek mechanics were limited to simple devices like water wheels or windmills. But over time, researchers realized that the Antikythera mechanism was astonishingly advanced. It had gears with teeth just 1 millimeter wide, unlike anything else known from antiquity. So, the big question is, if it really existed, why haven't we found more like it? The answer is simple. It was made of bronze, a valuable metal that was often melted down and reused. That means other examples probably didn't survive.
Finally, thanks so much for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this journey through the mysteries of the ancient world, please consider following our channel and watching future videos. Don't forget to subscribe, like,